Okay, we're going to introduce you to the important parts of your ColorFlare and how to load paper and then laminate and then how to load foil. So your key important parts are your control panel, which is here. It's a touch sensitive control panel, and you have a jog wheel here which will allow you to change your settings, and you can also push it in order to make selections. On this part here you have your pressure adjustment, which for lamination should be at 0.6, for foiling should be at 0.5. This is our safety cover. By flipping this switch here we can open it and just put it to the side, and here we have our heated mirror roller. This is what our laminate will roll over in order for the glue to activate. If you've got the additional arm assembly, then you'll also have an additional roller that will sit in the front for foiling, and I'll show you that when we get to adding the foiling. When you're laminating, you don't need that installed. As we come round the machine, we've got laminate roll ready to be loaded here, and we have the skewing wheel, which is used during lamination to help start to twist the media, and the perforating wheel, which is used to weaken the side of the laminate on the media, so that when these rollers here, which are called the burst rollers, accelerate, it'll separate your sheets to give you a nice clean edge. So let's get on and load some laminate. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to power the machine on. Powering the machine on will allow the heated roller here to start to warm up, and we've got our control panel down here showing us what is happening. A couple of things to look for. Set the length of your job. Do that by pushing the paper length button and then turning this wheel here to get your job size. Set the temperature of your job. So if you're using laminate, you want to probably be at around about 110 degrees centigrade if you're running from temperatures or speeds 1 to 3. So we push temperature and we adjust our temperature down to probably about 110. In my case I'm going to run to 115. Notice our speed is on 1 at the moment. We can't adjust the speed unless we're running, so we'll leave it on 1 to start with. You'll notice that we say wait here. Wait is because we're not up to temperature. We've set the temperature to 115. If I push this button, I can see what the current temperature is. It's at 26 degrees and it's increasing. So we'll wait a minute or two. The reason we want to wait a minute or two is because we want this heated roller just here to get hot, so make loading the laminate easier. So we'll give it 4 or 5 minutes and then we'll carry on. So to load laminate easily, first of all we need to remove this cover. So flip that switch, lift the cover off, just simply put it down and take a sheet of paper the width of your laminate. So in our case we're using 320mm wide laminate, so we're going to use a sheet of 320mm wide paper. Turn the end up a little bit and then just feed your paper through the rollers. You'll notice I'm doing this with the cover off. Okay. If your paper wasn't rolled up enough, you won't be able to get any further. So just roll it a bit more. A bit tricky to do this with one hand. And feed it past your rollers. You can see it's appeared the other side. Now be careful. We want this sheet of paper to go underneath this bar here. This is the decurl bar. So you want to push it down and make sure that it goes underneath that bar. I'm hoping that you can see that now. So we've gone underneath that bar and now we're going towards the 2 grey rollers. Okay, a bit tricky to do with one hand, but so got it towards those 2 bars, underneath the 2 bars, through the 2 grey rollers, I don't know if you can see this there, and towards the back of the machine. Sometimes when you're webbing the paper up for the first time, you'll find it easier to remove the skewing wheel. So what we're left with is a little bit of paper hanging over. This is because I've used 600mm long paper. If you're using SRA3, you won't quite get all the way to the back of the machine, but you want to leave approximately 50 to 75mm here. And the reason for that is that now our heated mirror roller is getting warm. In fact, if we have a look here, we're sitting at almost 100 degrees. So what we can do is we can pull our laminate down we feed it underneath this roller. Again, a bit tricky to do with one hand while holding a camera. There we go, got it underneath that roller. And we simply drop it onto our heated roller. Now, as soon as we do that, you see it's wrinkled, it's gone all sticky. That's because the heat of the heated roller is melting the glue. So I turn this sheet that I've already put into the machine over onto it, and it will stick to it very nicely. Now I can put my front cover back on and engage my catch. I get some waste paper. I press the loading button and the gate will open. I slide my first sheet in underneath the heated roller, and then I instantly take another sheet and slide it up to the gate. The gate is the bit of metal where it will not go any further. I can now press run. It will feed my sheet of paper through, and it will pull the laminate through with it. You'll hear it click. You need to put another sheet on. And we can see the paper going through the machine. Good idea to put another machine on when it clicks. So we've got a couple of machines in, and we can make sure that we're feeding through the laminator squarely. Now we can push stop. Time to set up our skewing and burst rollers. This roller should be right on the edge of our paper. You can see here we've got some serrated teeth, and we've got a little ledge. The ledge should be on the edge of our sheet of paper, so that these skewed wheels, or perforated teeth, are biting into just the edge of our lamination. This wheel here should be situated between these two green belts, not over the top of one of them. If it is, we're ready to go. If your paper is particularly thin, you might want a straight angle. If your paper is thicker, then weaken this and twist your wheel a bit so it creates more of a skew. Notice this is adjusted by pulling. If you run out of room, lift it because it's spring loaded, turn it and put it back down. Okay, we now should be ready to see if we can actually do some burst lamination. I'll get just some more paper. So burst lamination is where we click the burst on off button here. This will cause the rollers to accelerate, and it will allow us to split our media. It only works if we've got a nice perforation on the edge of our laminate, which is obviously going to be outside our image area because we've got cut marks on it, and we're only going to be perforating 3mm from the edge, and if we've got a certain degree of skew on it. The one thing to be careful of is that if you've got laminate on your machine, that your laminate is going up to the edge of your paper, because if you're too far away from the edge of your paper, you will not see perforation inside the lamination area. Okay, so if we start running the machine, we can push the burst button. The burst button will activate the burst control. The burst control will automatically split the paper more or less underneath the grey wheel, giving us a nice clean edge on our grey wheel. Well, we'll just double check where it's bursting again, so you can see our joint coming here, and now we should burst it. Excellent. So that's how it works. You'd notice that there was a little wrinkle coming just before it. That's the skew beginning to happen. Your burst is controlled by what's called your burst length, and it should be set to approximately 479 millimeters. That's nothing to do with the length of your paper. That's how far from the start of the machine to this point where it bursts. Really, you want to be bursting at 479, which is directly underneath that roller. Right, so now let's show you how to convert over onto foil. Switching over to foil, especially if you have laminate loaded, is very, very easy. So, open your gate and remove the cover. First of all, you want to cut your laminate. Really, you want to cut your laminate approximately here, and you can use the metal bar as a guide. That means you'll cut a straighter line, but also it means you don't have too much sticky laminate that might hang over onto this roller and get gluey residue on the roller. So we'll give that a go one-handed, which might be a bit tricky. Not the easiest, but there you go, it's worked. So wind back any unused laminate on this roller. So now you've got a sticky glue there, which is on paper that runs all the way through the machine. So the easiest way to load your foil now is to reduce the tension here by just turning that off a bit so it now spins nice and easily, not too easily. Pull your foil down. Now it goes underneath that bar and over the top of this bar, and then under that bar. Again, one-handed, this is a bit tricky, but you'll have two hands, so you should find it a lot easier than me. And then what you do is you simply drop your foil onto your laminate, which is already sticky. There you go, like that. Very nice, thank you very much. Put your cover back on. Load a sheet of paper. Again, press the load button to lift the gate, and now press run. This will feed your foil through the machine. While it's going through, you want to stop it more or less when it gets to the back about here, when it goes all shiny, after the laminate bit disappears. Do that just by pressing the stop button. Now you can undo this tool to move it to the side. You can loosen this tool, move that to the side, and spin it round so it's upright. Then tighten it back up so it stays there. You can remove this rear cover and you can pop on your bursting bar, sorry, your foiling bar. Tighten this up. Get a knife and just cut the top of the foil. Again, a bit tricky with one hand, but I think you'll get the idea. And pull your foil underneath the first bar and behind the second. Now, pop on your waste roller. Before attaching the foil to it, put your cover back on, because it has to go on from the back, so it's much easier to do when the foil hasn't been webbed. There we go. Now, bring your foil up and onto your waste roller and tape it in place. Okay, so if we click run, what you'll see is by loosening this, you can change the number of wrinkles that you get down here. From a lot of wrinkles, tightening it, you'll see the number of wrinkles reduce. But you never really completely get rid of all of the wrinkles. It's better to run it a little bit looser actually. However, for mirror-like roll finish, you want to put the premium finishing roller in. So let's show you how to do that. The premium finishing roller is this, and it fits into the brackets shown here. The idea of this roller is that the heated roller is required for laminate because it activates the glue, but with metallic foil it's not required. The heated roller is activating your toner on the sheet. So the problem you have is that foil will distort due to temperature. So putting the foil around the heated roller means that you have some wrinkle that you have to absorb, either by adjusting the tension or you just have to live with it. So the advantage of the premium finishing roller is that what it does is it allows us to levitate the foil above this roller and down the front, and the special silicone weave on it allows it to spread wrinkles out, giving you a perfectly smooth foil. The easiest way to load that foil, and I'm just going to have a colleague of mine help me hold the camera while I do that, is as follows. Right. So, loosen this a bit at the top, the tension control, so this moves easily. Then, giving yourself some slack, pull the foil out from the heated roller. Place the bar underneath and just drop it into the brackets that are there. Make sure that you don't load it the way that I just did. The bar goes that way round. So we try that again. Just drop it in. And now absorb the slack back up onto that roller. Put your cover back on and just put a little bit more tension back on the roller at the top. Now when we run, you'll see the foil is going underneath that bar, over the heated roller, round the smoothing silicone fingers, and then underneath this roller before coming into contact with your paper. Within one sheet, any wrinkles that are in the sheet are removed, and you'll find it's a perfectly smooth print that you've got, or foil that you've got going down onto your sheet. So there we go, perfectly smooth foil going all the way across. If you do have any wrinkles appear, just back off the pressure on this just a little bit, give it a bit of slack, and then bring a bit of pressure back. The whole point of this roller is you do not need too much pressure here. Again, perfectly flat. And that's it. The premium flaring roller does not need to be installed when you're laminating, as it will lift the laminate away from the heated roller and then the glue won't work. So now you're going underneath that first roller, behind this roller, you're taped into place onto here, your tools are out the way. You can now apply a little bit of tension here by turning this wheel, and that makes this a bit stiffer to move. Don't make it too stiff,